Welcome to Parents Playbook. This is a series of videos for parents of teenagers taking into account cultural factors that can sometimes cause friction or mismatches between parents and teenagers. Our group is called Stanford CHIPAO, which stands for Communication Health Interactives for Parents and Others. And most of us are from the Stanford Department of Psychiatry. We recognize that there are special stresses for high school students in our area, and we considered having local teens play the teenagers in our skits. But although they were initially very enthusiastic, they said, oh no, if we're there, the parents will not be able to ask the honest questions. So tonight we'll be playing roles as parents and as teenagers. Realize that we're not professional actors. The way that we've structured each of these is that we will play a situation from real life, first the way it really happened, and then a moderator will come from off the set and say freeze or time out, and then we'll stop and answer questions from the moderator or from the audience if you like, and then we'll press pause and rewind, and then play the same vignette again, except with different results. You'll notice that we're videotaping the vignettes, and so if you'd like to ask a question using a microphone, we can do that, or you can write it on a card and then it can be passed up to us. So between version 1.0 and 2.0, we'll have a brief pause, and then for version 2.0 afterwards, we'll have something a little bit longer. These situations have some conflict in them, and so we hope that they are helpful for you. I'm a psychiatrist, I'm the mother of a teenager, I'm a Stanford professor, and I have to say, of those three jobs, I'm not sure which is the most difficult. So we'll start with our first vignette, and we'll have Dr. Stephen Sust introducing our first vignette.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stephen Sust, and we are going to kick things off with Rona Hu and Joanne Lee, and they're going to perform Bad Words. And action.
Do you need some more wrappers?
Just a little bit.
I hope these taste as good as the others. I used all the same seasoning. You know, they say that chicken is better for you than pork.
Mom, have you ever heard of that word be used for anything else?
What word?
Pork, as a verb.
Pork as a verb? No, I'm sure I haven't.
Mom? Do you know what a hoe is?
Like Santa says, ho, ho, ho?
No. I think it's another word for whore.
Where did you hear that word?
Everybody says that word. Everybody knows it.
I know. It was at the slumber party. I knew you shouldn't have gone. I told you, and then you kept begging me and asking me, but no, that's the worst thing.
No, it wasn't the party. I mean, like, kids say it all the time.
What kids? What?
At school and outside, and I don't know, like, I'm the only one who doesn't know.
That girl who started wearing makeup last year, you know, I knew that any girl who would wear nail polish in 5th grade, that girl was trouble.
Oh my gosh.
I've always wanted to tell that mother what I think of her.
No, you can't do that. You can't talk to any moms. Mom, you can't. Why do you have to make such a big deal out of everything?
What do you mean? I'm not making a big deal out of everything. You know, this is why Chinese school happens on Friday night. You know, so that you don't go to these parties.
Oh my gosh.
Slumber parties are nothing but trouble. I don't know what to do. You want to talk like garbage? You want to be cool? I don't know what to do.
Mom, but you can't talk to anybody like that.
Okay, time out.
Oh my gosh. If she says anything to the other moms, I'll be an outcast. Nobody will invite me to anything else, ever again.
That sounds fine to me.
No. Oh my gosh.
So, Mom, it's very clear you're upset, but can you tell that your daughter's upset too?
Well, that's not my fault. I don't like those words.
It's not my fault either. I don't like hearing those either. But like, I don't know. Why do you act like I invented those words? I didn't make it up. I can't ask you any questions now. I can't bring anything to you. You just freak out.
Well, so right. So knowing the words doesn't actually mean that she's actually going to do it, right?
That's true, but I don't know. Why was she asking me? I don't know all the answers.
Well, it's understandable how upset everybody is about this, and I think we can all agree that it's probably better for her to come and talk with you about some of these words rather than hearing about it from her friends or some other place.
Okay, you have a point. I wish we could do it over again in real life.
Well, fortunately we can. Why don't we try that again, and this time try to take a gentler approach if possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need more wrappers?
Just a little bit.
I hope these taste as good as the other ones. I used all the same seasoning. They say that chicken is better for you than pork.
Mom, have you ever heard of that word be used for something else?
What word?
Pork. As a verb.
Pork is a verb? No, I'm sure I haven't.
Mom?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a hoe is?
What, like Santa says? Ho, ho, ho?
No, I think it's another word for whore.
That sounds likely. What do you think?
Well, they cover some things at the social hygiene class. That was kind of gross, and I don't know, like kids were using the word outside of the class, and I wasn't really sure why.
Were they saying it to you?
No, and I think they were joking, but I don't know. I didn't know why they were saying it, and I didn't really know what it meant, and so I kind of felt stupid not knowing.
I feel like that too when everyone else is in on a joke and I'm not.
Yeah, I think so. You know, at the slumber party that I went to the other night, we were playing Truth or Dare, and they started arguing whether a boy could be called a whore. But then, I don't know, it didn't seem fair that a boy can, I don't know, play around and can brag about it, but then when girls do it, they're called hoes.
That sounds really complicated.
Yeah.
Were there other things at the party that made you feel uncomfortable?
No, I think it was okay because it was all girls.
Uh-huh.
But then somebody dared somebody to like look up some of those words on Google, and I don't know, it was kind of gross.
Were there pictures?
Yeah, just for a little bit, and then we all started laughing, and then Jackie's mom woke up, so we had to put it away really fast.
How did that make you feel?
Kind of embarrassed, and I don't know, I didn't want to get into trouble.
It sounds like it was really awkward. I'm glad you told me about it.
Yeah.
Okay, time out. Great job, Mom. How was that the second time around?
Well, it still felt awkward. I didn't really know what I was supposed to say, but I tried to keep my temper, and I realized that she didn't make up the bad words, and so she was asking me about that, and I realized that I would shut off the conversation if I got mad at her. So it was hard, though. I don't like hearing those words, but I'd rather she hear about them from me than from somebody else.
Yeah, it is hard to sort of control some of that anger sometimes, but you did fantastic. How did that feel the second time around, young lady?
Much better. I mean, because I was really embarrassed to talk about it. I just wanted to know what it meant, and I didn't want to be the only person who didn't know. And I don't know, I guess I could have asked my friends too, and I was scared that my mom was going to freak out. But she was really nice, and so I feel better.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It's already an awkward topic, right? And when she comes out with a little bit more of the aggression side of things, it's a little bit harder. So,
I think all my wontons from after she brought that up will have to be remade. They're a little bit lopsided.
I think mine looks better.
Yours got better afterwards.
so any questions from the crowd at all?
Do you have a question? Yeah.
So my kid likes to use a lot of bad words that he picks up at a lot of these rap videos and musics and so on. So how do you gently get them to not use those in daily life?
I think that it's important to know what your kids are watching and listening to. So if you can possibly do it, listen to the rap with them, talk about it. Sometimes they'll use bad words because of the shock factor. And if you're calm about it, and goodness, if you even like some of it, it's like, hey, that's got a catchy beat. That's a good way to take some of the forbidden allure out of it. But also if you talk with them about it, they may have some things they're uncomfortable about too. And so it wouldn't be you and your child on opposite sides of the issue. You would both be on the same team. That's a good question.
I think also, when your kid is using words that you don't agree with, I think it's really important to discuss it with them. And, perhaps they don't even know what it means. And maybe they picked it up from school, maybe they picked it up from music. And, maybe just having a discussion about it in a non-judgmental way, but kind of like having a conversation. I'm on your side. I just want to know what you're thinking, or how does that word make you feel, or letting them know how that makes you feel, can also lead to another, really good conversation, and it will be a building block for your trust between you and your kid to have even harder discussions about harder topics in the future.
Right, and to dovetail off of those points, I think the larger goal is to just try to get a better understanding of their values. When they listen to the song, what is it that they like about it? What is it that they don't like about it? And how does this fit in with who they are and what they find is most important to them? Because a lot of the words in rap song lyrics can be of different values than what you might have anticipated. And trying to understand where they're coming from, where they've picked it up, and why it's become important to them might be something worth exploring, because young men and women are always trying to form their personalities and figure out what fits and what doesn't fit. And it's always a confusing time, and helping them to understand how it all fits in for them is a really important part of the conversation. But not easy, though. Certainly some songs are more acceptable than others. So, great question. Okay, any other questions? All right. If that's the case, then let us move on to the next skit, which I will hand off to.
The next skit is called.
Oh, the next skit is called Awkward Hug,
Awkward Hug.
which will be moderated by Dr. Who.
So we'll have the actors come in place for Awkward Hug. And this is written by Jason Lee and performed with Dr. Jong Yoon as his father. And Jason will tell us a little bit about how he wrote it.
So this skit comes from my own experience, and it takes place my first year of college, and we finally moved everything in. And as I'm trying to say goodbye to my father for the last time, in this sort of final goodbye, I try to hug him for the first time in my life. And so this is how it goes.
And action.
All right, Dad, I guess this is it. I'm all moved in. Yeah, I bet you probably have to head home soon. Probably a lot of traffic.
Yeah, the traffic's really bad.
Yeah. Dad, I was just wondering, I know we don't, try this, or, I don't know how to say this.
Oh, what do you want? Do you need some money or something?
No, Dad, no, I don't need money. Okay. Dad, I was just wondering, here.
This is what you want?
Usually you put your hands around me too, but
Okay.
it's okay. Yeah, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, bye. Yeah, I'll see you later.
Okay.
Okay.
Freeze. So, Dad, how was that?
Awkward.
I could see that. What was that all about, do you think? What made it so awkward?
I'm not used to hugging my son.
Yeah,
I was never hugged.
I have to say that that's also true in my family, and maybe some of the people in the audience, we don't need to film it, but anybody else have not much hugging in your family? Okay, yeah. So, so it feels awkward having been raised a particular way, but what's interesting is that when you come to this country and your children are raised in this culture and they see people hugging all around them, they might start to want that or feel confused about why you're not doing the same. So, Jason, what were some of the reasons that you maybe wanted to be hugged?
I don't know, my friends and I hug all the time, and I thought it was really weird that like this is the time when I'm finally going off to college and I won't see him for a long time and he won't even like try to hug me, and like it was just frustrating that he was not engaged in it at all, and I've never been hugged by him. We never even said I love you even, so it's just really frustrating.
There was a very moving talk by Dr. Evelyn Lee, a psychiatrist that I met at San Francisco General years ago, who talked about how she said, my mother never told me she loved me. She made me my favorite chicken soup, and that was how she showed me she loved me. So maybe, Dad, you're thinking you provide for him. When he was asking for maybe a hug, you thought maybe he wants some money because you're providing all the things that make his life possible, but yet, you know, and that's a good way of showing love. There's nothing wrong with that, but, you know, a hug wouldn't be against that, right? You could do both, really. You could provide for him and offer him good advice and then also hug him. Do you think that might be worth a try?
Sure.
Okay, let's try that again. And action.
All right, Dad, I guess this is it. I'm all moved in, so you probably have to get back soon, but
Yeah, I mean, the traffic is really bad.
oh, yeah, I know. Dad, listen. I was wondering,
Yeah, what do you want? Do you need anything?
no.
Do you need some money?
No, Dad, no. Just listen, I feel like we haven't really done, I don't know how to say this. Just here.
Is this what you wanted?
Yeah, usually put your hands around me too, and yeah, I feel like we've never really hugged before, and this is like the last time I'll see you in a while, so I just wanted to try that out.
Well, we'll talk soon, son.
Okay. Bye, Dad.
Okay, freeze. Did that feel a little bit better this time?
Still a little awkward, but better.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of these skits is to suggest something that might be a little bit better, but we don't expect you to get a brain transplant between version 1.0 and version 2.0, right? So what were some things that felt just a little bit different this time?
Yeah. I guess even though it was awkward, like the fact that he tried to reach out to me when I was reaching out to him, it made me feel like he tried to understand me, and I think I don't often feel like that.
He hugged you back this time.
He did.
That was nice.
Yeah.
And he asked a question. So the first time he just sort of broke away and headed for the hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of traffic, huh? Yeah. Second time, it was still hard to say, you know, words like "I'm proud of you" or "I love you," but there's a little bit more softness to it. That felt a little better.
It did. I'm sure we both felt really uncomfortable, but I'm glad we still tried.
It's going to be a few months before you see him again. He's off to college. So inside, you're feeling very moved. And I think this time you showed a little bit of that, too. All right. Any questions from the audience or suggestions? There's one there.
So doesn't my child already know that I love him? Why should I keep telling him that I love him or hug him to show him that I love him?
That's a wonderful question. because, you know, that's often what parents will assume. They know I love them. Why do I have to say so? And I think one of the interesting things is that when there is a difference in the culture that you were raised in and the culture that your child was raised in, then there can be this wondering, you know, they see other parents hugging their children and they say, why doesn't my parent, you know, hug me or say I love you? So I think that the assumptions for each group are not necessarily wrong. They're just based on a little bit different reality. And so the child who sees everybody else's children getting hugged, you know, starts to wonder, why is my parent not hugging me? So, and it's okay to do both. So having them know that you love them because of all of your actions is so important, maybe more important. But it wouldn't take that much extra effort to say it a little bit or try to show some physical affection. So that concludes our skits for tonight. I'd like to invite the actors for all of the skits and the moderator to come on up, and we'll have some discussion with the audience and with each other about what we've seen tonight. What were some of the things that you noticed about the skits that we had tonight? We had some changes between version 1.0 and version 2.0. In all of these, because these are the parents' playbook, the pivot point was on what the parents said. So we plan to write skits and rehearse them and have teenagers help us with ones where the teenager reacts differently to the parent. But it is worth noting that in each case, we always started out the same way, and then the parent would say something often very subtly different, and then it would go a little bit better that way. So if we went over some of the take-home points for each of the skits, what might some take-home points be for Awkward Hug? Jason, you wrote it, so what might be something that you would want to make sure that people know? If you could sum that up in a sentence.
I guess for Awkward Hug, what was important for me was to sort of realize that even though my dad and I come from different generations and we grew up in different places, we still love each other very much, but that sometimes for me comes in different forms. And it's important for me to recognize that, but it's also important for my dad to recognize that. And so when he's able to sort of, when I'm trying to show that form of affection, he's able to keep that conversation going by also trying as well. That was really important for me.
Yeah. Knowing that you come from different backgrounds and different assumptions doesn't mean that one of you is wrong. It just means that the reality that you learned is a little bit different, and bridging that gap is important, and it's something that can be done.
And I like to say that especially in a young kid's situation, it could be even hurtful when they see their friend's family come to, you know, their kindergarten or elementary school and hug them and tell them I love you, and then they expect the same from their parents, and then if they don't get that, they might feel like my parents don't love me, and that's definitely not true, right? So I think sometimes it's uncomfortable and unnatural, especially in a certain cultural context, to verbalize those feelings, but especially in an American culture, I think verbalizing some of that is important.
And I think even absent the culture piece itself, that there's a very important point to take home, which is that we all express how much we care and how much we love one another in very different ways. For example, Dad reached into his pocket and was about to give his son some money. And again, there's very varied ways in which we show how much we care. Some we do things for people, some we hug, and so to say that there's nothing wrong with showing love the way you're most comfortable with, and that it's certainly worth noticing and worth discussing also if you ever get to have one of those discussions with your child.
And remember, it's not either or.
Yeah.
So you can do some of each. A little bit of one, a little bit of another.
Yeah.
And then you can evolve over time. So we also did a skit called Bad Words. What were some of the important points from there, if you had take-home points that you wanted to explain to someone else who hasn't seen the video yet?
I think something one of the things that we want to make sure that it gets across is that if you don't know what's happening, you know, in your children's life, you can't really help them, right? So even if it's, again, uncomfortable for you, you know, talking about some bad words or, you know, bad behavior or things that you just don't agree with, it's really important to have that discussion with your child from this, you know, similar point, like, you know, we're on the same team here type of approach, instead of, you know, making the kid feel like, oh, mom is mad at me or dad is angry with me, I shouldn't just not talk, you know, because what ends up happening is, you know, their curiosity is still there. So they will go somewhere else to, you know, find answers to these questions. And, you know, we believe that parents have the best interest for their children, and, you know, they're in the best position to be able to guide them.
I mean, I think sometimes words are just words, and to keep that in mind, and not to think that just because someone says or listens to them, the kids are bad in and of themselves.
Stepping out of your role as dad, you've probably dealt with some of these situations before in your real life, and I think that's definitely true. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, and please stay tuned for more in this series of the Parents Playbook, which will include other cultures as well.